Hi, welcome to the testing world. In this session, we are going to cover Xpath in details. Xpath is one of the element locator which we can use in Selenium for searching or locating an element uniquely. We can use different techniques available in the Xpath. So we are going to cover most commonly used techniques from basic to advanced. I'm moving to my browser. We are going to use Selenium IDE. We are not going to go for recording, but here we are just highlighting the element by using XPath. So first technique that we can use, we can locate an element by tag and attribute. But before moving to that, we must understand what is tag and what is attribute. So I'm going to any of the element, right click on that, inspect element with Firebug. Here we can see the HTML of a particular element. In the HTML, from where the particular element is starting, like we are starting with the input. This input is called tag or tag name. Developer is setting uh, many attributes over here, like id is equal to email, class is equal to input text, type is equal to email, tab index, value and name. So these are called attributes. I try to go for HTML of any other element like this. uh, I'm clicking on this, right click, inspect element with Firebug. Here the tag name is div and we have class which is attribute. Sometimes you will find after my starting tag we are getting some text, means we are getting some text between the starting and the end tag. This tag is called inner text. We are going to use this inner text tag and attribute to locate any element. So I'm moving to the first technique that we can use in XPath. So I'm stopping this recording, deleting this. So first technique that we can use, we can locate an element by tag and attribute, by a single attribute. So I open HTML of this text box, let's say username or the email text box. Here we can see that the tag is input and we have the multiple attributes. So I can use any of the attribute. We are going to use type. So I'm copying the value of the type, moving to my Selenium IDE. Whenever we are writing the XPath, we should start with the double slash, means this is the XPath. Tag is my input, then square bracket. Square bracket, we need to write what is attribute and the value of the attribute. Here we need to understand the syntax. Before attribute, we need to write at the rate, and the value of the attribute must be in single quotes. Once you write your XPath, we can use this find button. As we click on the find button, my element will be highlighted. So if I highlight, or if on click on the find button correct element is highlighted, means we are using right XPath. So this is the first technique that we can use. We can locate an element by tag name and any of the attribute. I'm moving to the second technique, in which we can highlight an element by using multiple attributes. In case of the multiple attributes, we can use either logical or and. So I'm using or. And first attribute, that is type is equal to email. I'm picking one more attribute with a tab index. So I'm setting one more attribute. Whenever we are writing the attribute, we need to start with the at the rate, then tab index is equal to value is always in a single quote. Click on the find button. So it should be in the small letters. Or means either this or this must be satisfied. So I click on that. If type is equal to email is satisfied, that it will not check to the second attribute. But if the first attribute which I have changed, so it will not search on the page, then it will go to the second attribute and find it. So we can check, we can see one attribute is correct and other is incorrect, still I'm able to find out the element. So that is my second technique. We are going to use the third technique. In third technique, on the place of or, we can mention and. As I mentioned, and means both the attributes must be true. So I'm checking it, like both the attributes are true. I'm changing one attribute, I'm edited the value, incorrect value is set. Now I'm checking, so if not, it is not able to find out the element, means my both attribute must be correct in that case, because we are using and in between, but one attribute is not correct. So that is our third technique by which we can locate an element. I'm moving to the next technique. First I'm moving to my presentation. So we have covered Xpath with a single attribute. Apart from it, we have covered Xpath with the multiple attribute using or and AND. Moving back to my browser. So here now the next technique is that, like, we are using the tag name, we are using the attribute name, but on the place of the attribute name we can mention star. Mean I want to search a input element with any attribute is equal to email, and any other attribute, you can mention star over here as well, any other attribute is 1. Still we are able to find out the element, because it is searching for an input element, input type element with one attribute is email and other attribute is 1. The next technique is that on the place of input we can set star. Means it might be possible my developer changing this text box, and on the place of the input he is creating div or any other element, so we can just mention star, like it is searching for an element, any of the element which has first attribute or one attribute is email and another attribute is 1. So again we are able to find out. So in these two techniques we have seen that on the place of the attribute we can mention star, means any of the attribute. On the place of the tag name we can mention star, means any of the tag name. So these are these two techniques that we have. The dynamic HTML, in that case when we have the dynamic HTML and my tag name or the attributes are keep changing. Moving to my presentation, so we have seen Xpath with a single attribute, multiple attribute, dynamic tag name, dynamic attribute. I'm moving to the inner text. So as at the start I've shown you what is the inner text. So I show you again. Here I have a div kind of element in which this is my inner text. I'm going to copy this inner text. Moving to my IDE again. To locate an element with the inner text, again this is my div type of element. You can check it again, like inner text is div, square bracket, we are going to check the text is equal to, and we have given the exact value which we have copied from HTML. I'm clicking on the find button and we can see that we are able to locate a particular element. So this time we are using a text to locate an element. I'll say the inner text. The format is that square bracket text brackets is equal to value. But sometimes, you know, because in our case, we can see that this text is not going to be changed. It's not going to be changed. But in sometimes we will find that the part of the text is going to be changed and the rest of the part will be constant. I'm keeping an example like when this text from Facebook to share will be common and rest of the part can be changed. So in that case we can use another technique in which the common part will be placed over here, and because we are not checking the equality, so just mention the comma, place this text and the value in brackets, and before the bracket just mention contains. So I mentioned contains. Now I'm locating and still able to locate. So what we are doing in that case, we are not equating the values, we are not checking the values to be equal, we are just checking that this text should contains this value. This value should be there and it could have any dynamic values as well. So I'm showing you the syntax again. Like first we need to mention the tag name, then we are going for the square brackets, contains, brackets, text, we are not equating, so comma, and the value which is common, like I'll say this is the constant value, it's not going to be changed. So constant value is copied and pasted over here. Still I'm able to search it. So means my contains is working perfectly. This contains is mainly used when we have the dynamic, dynamic text that we are getting, dynamic element there we are getting. So right now we have gone through the technique which is working on the dynamic text. Now the different techniques which we have used before, like I'm moving back to this text box. Here my input is equal to email, but I'm taking like first I'm mention input at the rate type is equal to email. So this is the first technique we have gone through. So now we can use contains over here as well. Sometime we will see that the attribute value is going to be dynamic. Like first time it's showing the email, next time email underscore 1, next time email underscore 2. So this value is getting changed. So what we can do in that case, again the constant value which will be constant or which is not dynamic, which is not going to be changed, will be mentioned over here. So I take an example like EMAI is not going to be changed. So I mention EMAI over here. I use contains and bracket. So I'm not equating the value. I'm, in that case, I'm just, checking that the input type contains this, not the exactly this, but it should contain this. I'm clicking on the find button. As we click on that, so we can see highlights. So here we have seen like we are using contains in attributes as well. Moving to my presentation, so we can check like single attribute we have covered, multiple attribute we have covered, dynamic tag name, dynamic attribute, inner text and contains. Moving to the next slide. Here we are moving some some advanced technique. So first technique that we can use, it's a locate an element by parent. So I'm going to the HTML of this element. I'm taking a condition when we are not able to locate this element by any technique. Then I'm moving to parent of this particular element. So the parent of the input is td, then we are moving to the tr. Still we are not able to, because td does not have any attribute, we can't locate it. We are moving to the tr, not able to locate it. Then the t body, because no attribute, not able to locate it, but it's a table, so we have some attribute, we can try to locate this element. So I'm trying to locate this table. I'm going over here, table, and my attribute is role is equal to presentation. So I try to highlight the table. As I click on the find button, we are able to locate this table, but aim is not to locate this table. We need to move the child of, we need to move on this child, on input child of this table. So what we can do, I'm going to the table, Then as a child of the table we have the t body, then tr. So we need to move the t body and tr, which is second tr. So what I'm doing, slash t body slash tr and bracket 2 means I want to go to the second tr under this t body. So I'm on this tr, then td, and then input. So I'm moving to td and this input. So now I click on the find button and we can check that we are able to locate a particular element. So here we have seen that we have gone through a particular element. One more technique that we can use, like I mentioned, like table role is equal to presentation. We are able to locate this table, but I want to go on this input. So rather than going to the table, then t body, then tr, I can double slash. Double slash means any of the child inside this table. So double slash, and then I'm going to the input. So this means I'm searching, first I'm searching this table, and inside the table I'm searching this input. Find, and still I'm able to locate it. So this is much better technique that we have used. Rather than going to the table, t body, tr, we can directly use this technique. Next I'm moving to the another technique in which we can locate an element by its sibling. So what do you mean by the sibling? Like, again, example, here I'm coming to the HTML and trying to find out the place where we can use the sibling. So here we can see uh, like we have our input element with some name. I try to locate this element. So now we can locate an element by its sibling. So I'm using this element, which is name is equal to this. I'm searching an element which is input with the name is equal to this one. So I'm finding that element, so I'm able to find out this input. You can check it, it's highlighted the HTML. Now I want to locate a sibling of this. Sibling means in same hierarchy. So this table is the sibling of this input, because we can see that these all inputs and the table are on the same hierarchy. So what I can use, double slash, it's a preceding sibling, preceding sibling, colon table. As I click on this, you can check we are able to highlight the table, and now we can go to the input. So double slash input, which we have used in the previous technique. So here we can check I have located an element. First I've located this table by using its sibling, and then we are going for a child of that table. So that is, in this technique we have used the preceding sibling. It might be case when I want to locate this input, and but from this table. So what I can mention, table role is equal to presentation. I'm able to locate this table, then but I want to locate this particular input. This input is following by the table, so I can mention following sibling, colon, that is my input. So I mention input. So you can check, you can see, just so here is the double slash. We need to use the single slash, so I'm using following sibling. So From this table, we are able to locate this input, which is the sibling of table. If the element which we want to locate is following current element, so we are going to use the following. If my element is before the current located element, we are going to use preceding on that case. So by this way, we can able to locate the element by using its siblings. Moving to the next part, in which for a single element we can mention multiple XPath. So I want to locate this element, and I'm using one XPath is equal to input type is equal to email. We can mention multiple XPath. So this is the OR symbol, and we can mention one more XPath like this. ID is equal to email. So in that case, if this XPath will work, then it's not moving to the next XPath. So I'm able to locate it by using the first XPath. Okay, I make some mistakes in the first XPath, then I'm clicking on the find button that's going to use the second XPath. So we can use the multiple XPath for the same element in the same line. So if the first XPath is going to work, then okay. If not, then it's going to work on the second XPath. So by this way, we can write multiple XPath for one element only. Next technique, or the last technique that I'm going to tell you, is searching an element by its index. Like I'm going to search this table first. So I'm going to the table, role is equal to presentation. I'm able to highlight the table. Then inside the table, I'm going to the T body, and then we need to move to the TR. So if I just mention the TR means first TR that I'm going to search. So here we can check it's a TR. The first TR is highlighting. But if I want to go to the second TR, then we can mention the index in the square brackets. I mentioned 2 means it's the second TR that I want to go. So I mentioned the second TR, it's highlighted means everything is working fine. I'm on the right TR. So these are all techniques that we can use in Xpath while locating an element. So these are all techniques that we have covered